So productivity factors. One of the things that America was blessed with from the start was a lot of natural resources as well as labor to work those resources. So we've got arable land, a little higher, sorry.
You did it.
So workable land in terms of agriculture. Can you find the perfect?
Scoot it back a little. Andrew.
Natural resources, coal and lumber, and tons of navigable rivers. So even before steamships, we've got tons of rivers that can be used for commerce. So definitely blessed with a lot of resources. So find your way in somewhere. There might be the best seat you get in the house. You just can't lock the door. All right. We also have technological innovations. All right. You've got things like the McCormick mower reaper that increases productivity multiple-fold, can do the work of several men and horses. You have things like John Deere's steel plow. And also a government that has a patent system that allows for people who invent these things to hold patents and make money off of them. You've got the illustrious Eli Whitney and the cotton gin, which in essence reinvigorates what perhaps would have been a dying institution in the form of slavery by allowing for a kind of cotton that was very fibrous and very seedy to actually grow well out west as the eastern seaboard lands became less arable, less fertile. So Eli Whitney sort of injects steroids into the slavery system. All right, and he's under, scrutiny right now by the, I don't know, EPA, I don't know. Robert Fulton and the steamboat. The steamboat transformed river travel because previously, for example, on the Mississippi River, you had keelboats or flatboats that could go down, they'd break up and sell the wood, and you'd have to find a ride back up north. Now you can go upriver, you could also go out to the Atlantic and whatnot. So it really transforms the West. Mark Twain was one of the people that really best described the transformation of the steamboat on the Mississippi River. The first steamboat, the Claremont, 1807, on the Hudson River up to Albany, New York. All right, Elias Howe and the sewing machine is going to do wonders for the textile industry. And don't forget that slave picked cotton from the South with the textile industry in the North, so the North being complicit with the slavery institution while often criticizing it. All right, Samuel Slater and the factory system. He was the guy that came with the plans in his brain from England. You weren't supposed to leave with them. And creates the first textile factory. It was a thread factory in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So the beginning of textiles. Our interchangeable parts begun sort of in small industries such as manufacturing guns, but what a brilliant idea. I mean, later even today, Whitney once again destroys our country. All right. Samuel Morse and the telegraph. Communication is equally as important a part of a burgeoning nation, because not only do you have to have physical transportation of goods, but you have to have communication. Communications, the telegraph will assist, sadly, the military in subduing Native Americans out west in the plains. This is going to be huge. All right, an abundant source of labor. Besides, I guess most Americans, so-called Americans, besides Native Americans, were immigrants. And those waves of immigrants are going to keep on coming and keep on coming. Now, if you look at cities with large populations, what do you see here? Sorry, guys, you'll have to just discuss them. Yes?
Seaboard has a lot of people.
Okay, and which section of the seaboard?
The north.
The north has the concentration. There were a couple of reasons. Those were some of the earliest regions of settlement and cities, but also the south, because of the slavery system, wasn't as attractive to immigrants. So they're going more towards the north. All right. Origins of the foreign-born population by 1860. Ireland clearly winning out with over 1.5 million. Foreign-born German states coming in a close second, England third, etc. So lots of labor, lots of cheap labor, sort of the story of America, right? Competing for jobs and allowing for low wages and booming industry. All right, financial and political support. Our government, by and large, has always been pretty much, very much for business. If you look back to Alexander Hamilton and his economic basis, which I'm sure Schmidt went over. Easy credit, banking from small banks or state banks. Protective tariffs. 1816 was the first truly protective tariff, or tariff that was aimed at protecting domestic industry, that helps domestic industry. You've got a, by and large, a pro-business government, and by and large, laissez-faire, with the exception of a few eras in American history. Wow. All right. Regional specialization. So this is going to be important in terms of the economies, and it's also going to be important in terms of the sectionalism that grows during the so-called era of good feelings. So you've got, after Eli Whitney's invention of the cotton gin in the late 1890s, you essentially have King Cotton in the South. Everybody's growing cotton. Everybody wants to grow cotton. Everybody aspires to grow cotton. That's the major crop of the South, taking over for rice, tobacco, and indigo during the colonial days. New England has the textile mills. Also, the North has the banking centers. Pennsylvania, New York, etc. This is Lancaster Turnpike in Pennsylvania in 1794, National and Cumberland Road beginning in 1811, eventually going from Maryland to Illinois. Once you went out to that Midwestern region of Ohio, you could then hop onto the rivers and go down the Mississippi River. Canals, a huge part. Obviously, the Erie Canal, one of the major transportation at this time. Huge feat. Who paid for it? New York State. Okay, was an issue for decades during that time period. The Erie Canal cuts the cost of traveling from New York to Buffalo, a ton of goods, from $100 to $5. So imagine if you're a business owner, that's huge. It also cuts the time period from 20 days to travel those goods to 6 days. So, more rapid, cheaper, it's all good. And everywhere the Erie Canal went, little towns, Rochester, etc., crop up along the way. Steamboats, I've mentioned, going up the Mississippi. The earliest railroads start to crop up, although when will the railroad industry really take off? After the Civil War, when they get federal aid, although there were sort of smaller lines, a network of smaller lines prior. All right, clipper ships, they sort of had a brief heyday of just rapidly traveling ships to carry goods to Europe and foreign ports. Social impacts of economic growth. All right, you've got the growth of nativism, people who feel that America should be British America, should be Protestant America. You have to realize, if you guys remember, that the Catholic Irish were not considered to be white. They were not considered to be of a European white race. They were considered to be black. They were often depicted as that. And there was also a lot of suspicion about their religion. And so nativism grows, and that takes the form of the Know Nothing Party, or the American Party, in the 1840s and 50s. You guys have any questions so far?